right, so the last part in the series on power carving is on angle grinders. This Festool really is an angle grinder, but kind of looks like one, so I figured I'd put it here because some people do use it for shaping and power carving. Anyways, the big thing with angle grinders as it relates to power carving is controlling the speed. There are a few different options here which I've had for different things, like the red and the yellow here, the Milwaukee and the Dewalt I have for welding, and I tried them for power carving, and for a lot of the abrasive carving discs and the cutting carving discs, they work just fine. The one place where they fail is sanding, and that's because of their speed. And that was actually something I could only put together and kind of discover myself by getting this Festool sander. So this Festool sander looks a lot like an angle grinder, and a lot of people, when they complain about this one who haven't actually used it, say, hey, that just looks like an angle grinder. That's totally overpriced for being an angle grinder, and I'm not even going to get into the politics of Festool pricing because that'll start a flame war and all that fun stuff. But anyways, I tried this guy out because I couldn't get sanding to work on my two normal grinders, this Milwaukee and this Dewalt, and I didn't know why. Basically, when I say I couldn't get it to work, I mean that when I put a flap wheel or one of those backing discs with a sanding disc on it, anytime I would go to sand the wood, it would just burn it all to hell. And I couldn't figure out why, because it's just sandpaper after all, right? And so I picked up this Festool sander because I'd seen people use it quite a lot for shaping and sanding. You know, it's a rotary sander, not a random orbit sander. And so I gave it a shot, and it worked very well. And I found that I really liked being able to control the speed with the grits, and it gave me a lot of finesse and a lot of control, but I still kept thinking, I was like, there's got to be another way than spending all that money to be able to sand like that. And that's when it kind of dawned on me to check the RPMs. And it's like, what's different between that and a grinder? The speed is different. This, I think its lowest speed is 600 RPM. Its highest speed, I don't really know what is, doesn't list here. I'll put it on the screen for you. But I'm pretty sure its lowest speed is 600 RPM compared to the regular angle grinders. This one is 11,000 RPM, this Milwaukee, and this Dewalt is 9,000 RPM. So they were both burning the wood as I sanded. But having had all of these together, I was able to kind of pinpoint that the issue was speed related. With that, testing my hunch, I got a variable speed grinder. This is a Bosch, which I picked up at Home Depot. I'm not totally in love with it, but it's the only variable speed grinder that they sell in my Home Depot, like in person. They have more on their website. You can also find other options on Amazon. But getting this allowed me to prove my theory, which was that controlling the speed is what you need to be able to sand with an angle grinder on wood without burning. And so I got this and tested my theory, and that's really the main point, or the main thing that you need to control is speed when you're sanding with an angle grinder on wood. Now I'm going to show you this example. This was in my sanding video as well, but I'm going to show you again here. And this shows you what speed does for you. So this is with a flap wheel on the Milwaukee grinder, which is 11,000 RPM. You see it's burning quite a lot. And this camera is actually bleaching it out a little bit, but it's burning quite a lot. Now here on the Bosch sander, which is variable speed, again, we have it all the way up, which is 11,500 RPM, and it's burning quite a lot. Now we turn it all the way down, which is 2,800 RPM, and there's no burning at all. You'll see between the two, you might see anyways, this one goes quite a lot deeper. A lot more material is removed because it's running faster, but here not as much is removed. So that's obviously a byproduct of the speed, not removing as much material, but at least you're not burning. So if you're removing the bulk of your material with one of the carving wheels, either a cutting or abrasive style, and then you go back and sand with a flap wheel at lowest speed, that gives you a lot of control and you won't burn your wood. The other thing that I tried is putting it about halfway, which I don't know the exact speed, but it's halfway between 2,800 and 11,500. I could remove a good amount of material without burning the wood still. I think I had slight burning, but I just went back and wiped it with the sander again and got rid of it. Now, all of these examples that I showed here, the wood was flat, and these were all carved out just with sanding. So really, with a variable speed grinder and a flap wheel, you still can remove a lot of material. It might gum up and it might take a while, but that's also an option. Here's the same thing with that backing disc, with the resin fiber sanding disc. Here's full speed. You can't see it super well, but there's a lot of burning right along this curve here. Here's half speed, you definitely still see some burning, and here's the slowest speed, you don't see any burning at all. The other thing, like I mentioned, variable speed and grits together, you can use those to get a lot of control. So here's an 80 grit disc on the slowest speed, which we're just using it to knock off this corner here, and that knocks off a little material. Here's the same exact disc, just all the way on its fastest speed, and it removes a bunch. Now you should see that there's no burning here. I found that the burning mostly happens in concave shapes like this, versus here you can get away with faster speeds without burning quite so much. And that's, I think, partially because I can just kind of wipe it away. You know, I'm not really bearing down and digging in. I think, you know, that's just a theory. But anyway, so that's the role that angle grinders can play, or what to look for when you're looking for an angle grinder for power carving. I have seen guys do power carving videos with cordless angle grinders and do some sanding and not have burning, but when I look up the RPM for those, they're around 6,000 RPM, which is probably about the halfway range on this, as we saw, which doesn't burn, at least not to any great degree. So a cordless grinder might also be an option. Basically, just look at the speed, look at the RPMs. You know, like I said, I've seen guys with cordless and they do 6,000 RPMs and not have any burning. The one thing I would caution you against with cordless is if you plan to do a lot of power carving work, you may not want to go cordless, because grinders in particular are notorious battery hogs in the cordless realm. They also, if you read their manuals, do not recommend that you use cutting discs like these or carving discs like these on those. I think that's just, you know, our litigious society and lawsuits and all that fun stuff, but officially they don't recommend it. I've seen people do it and have no problems other than batteries dying. So take that as you will, and I hope this was helpful to people. I just wanted to share with you, since I experimented with a wide variety of stuff. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below, shoot me a message. I'll be happy to help. Otherwise, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram and Facebook, and have a good day.